Hey everybody, I've been sick this whole week after the media tour, and I was able to get the Monk, Reaper, and Summoner done, but I've now lost my voice. It's getting worse, so I'm gonna go to the doctor in about an hour, but I had Whoops record the script that I made for all the tanks here. So I hope it's good. I hope you understood what I said, and I'm gonna stop talking now. Bye.
Hey everybody, Whoops here. Drak actually blew his voice out recording all these videos for you guys, so I'm stepping in for this one. This video will be covering tank changes in Endwalker. The list is fairly short, so I'll be covering all 4 tanks at once here. Now, this is just an overview, not a guide, so don't take anything here as an indication of how you should play, but rather what will be available to you in Endwalker. Of course, everything here is development footage and is subject to adjustments and changes in the final build. The general theme for most of the tanks is taking buffs and abilities previously available and upgrading them into more powerful versions of themselves. This isn't quite as substantial as some of the other job changes or additions we've seen, but button bloat has been kept very minimal as a result. Before going into each individual tank, a general change across the board is with Reprisal, now being an AoE damage reduction. Each tank also gets a trait called Melee Mastery, which increases the potency of some of their core abilities. So there's that. With that out of the way, let's get started. For Warrior, Shake It Off, Nascent Flash, and Equilibrium have all been enhanced. Shake It Off now gives a 300 potency AoE heal at level 76. Nascent Flash now gives the target a 10% damage reduction in the form of Stem the Flow, and the Warrior a 400 potency shield from Stem the Tide at level 82. At level 84, Equilibrium now grants the Warrior a 200 potency regen for 15 seconds. Inner Release also now has 3 stacks to use relevant abilities. This change is similar to how Perfect Balance and Riddle of Earth were adjusted for Monk during Shadowbringers. In terms of new abilities, Raw Intuition will be upgraded into Bloodwetting, with the additions of Orogeny and Primal Rend. The base Raw Intuition will now only reduce damage taken by 10%, but will also grant a 400 potency cure with every successful weapon skill while active. Bloodwetting increases the base damage reduction duration, while also granting the Warrior the effects of both Stem the Flow and Stem the Tide for the same duration as Nascent Flash. Warriors go to Monk School at level 86 to get their AoE version of Upheaval, Orogeny, which delivers 150 potency to all nearby enemies. Primal Rend is your level 90 capstone ability and delivers a 700 potency attack to the first target and 70% less to nearby enemies. This attack doesn't consume inner release stacks, but can only be executed under the effects of Primal Rend Ready, a 30-second buff gained when using inner release. The range on this is also ridiculous, and it can be used as a pretty good gap closer, if a fight ever calls for that anyways. Smaller but significant changes are Onslaught and Upheaval no longer costing Beast Gauge, along with Onslaught getting 1 more charge at level 88. For Paladin, Intervention, Divine Veil, Holy Spirit, and Holy Circle have been enhanced. Intervention now lasts for 8 seconds and gives the additional effects of Knight's Resolve, which reduces damage taken by 10% for 4 seconds, and Knight's Benediction, which gives a 250 potency regen for 12 seconds. Divine Veil now also applies a 400 potency heal to everyone who receives the shield effect except the Paladin. Holy Spirit and Holy Circle also gained a 400 potency cure for the Paladin every time they're cast. Drak says he thinks Paladin is going to be his new go-to dungeon tank, because all of this self-healing is a wall-to-wall puller's dream come true. The new AoE abilities also make it great at dealing damage to large groups as well. Spirits Within is upgraded to Expiation at level 86, which deals a 300 potency attack to the first target hit and 50% less for all others nearby. Sheltron is upgraded to Holy Sheltron at level 82, which adds the effects of Knight's Resolve and Knight's Benediction to yourself for 4 seconds and 12 seconds respectively. Requiescat also got the same treatment as Inner Release, giving it 5 stacks to be spent on your spells while also removing the requirement to have 80% mana to be fully effective. At the end of your Requiescat window, as your level 90 capstone, Confiteor will upgrade 3 more times into Blade of Faith, Blade of Truth, and Blade of Valor, all of which are AoEs with 50% damage fall off after the first enemy is hit, along with mana restoration. Blade of Faith has an initial potency of 250, Blade of Truth has 350, Blade of Valor has 420. Blade of Valor has the additional effect of applying an 80 potency AoE damage over time for 21 seconds. This dot doesn't stack with Goring Blade, and its potency is reduced by 50% for all enemies after your initial target. For Dark Knight, your new abilities are Oblation, Salt and Darkness, and Shadowbringer. Oblation is a 2-charge buff that decreases damage taken by you and a target party member by 10% for 10 seconds, available at level 82. Salt and Darkness is an ability that becomes available once Salted Earth is placed. When used, it delivers an attack of 500 potency to all enemies in the Salted Earth. Drak says he didn't do any dungeon testing, so he's not sure if there's any actual damage falloff or not that just isn't listed here. Shadowbringer is your level 90 capstone ability. It's a 2-charge line AoE that deals 600 potency of damage initially, and 50% less on subsequent targets. This attack can only be used when in Darkside. Living Shadow and Unmend receive some upgrades as well. At level 84, Unmend will reduce the cooldown of Plunge by 5 seconds. Living Shadow upgrades twice from 80 to 90. First, your Simulacrum will now deal 300 potency per attack at level 88. At level 90, the Flood of Shadow it uses upgrades to Shadowbringer, which behaves the same way and deals 450 potency initially and 25% less on subsequent enemies. The changes here seem more straightforward than most other jobs, or even other tanks for that matter. The extra utility, AoE damage, and off globals are welcomed additions for Drak at least. Finally, we're at Gunbreaker, or if you skipped ahead, we'll be starting with Gunbreaker. There are 3 new abilities from levels 81 to 90. Heart of Corundum, Hypervelocity, and Double Down. Heart of Corundum is an upgraded version of Heart of Stone, which now also gives the effects of Clarity of Corundum for 4 seconds and Catharsis of Corundum for 10 seconds to the target. Clarity reduces damage taken by an extra 15%, and Catharsis restores health when health falls below 50% or at the end of the effect's timer. Hypervelocity is a 200 potency extension of Continuation when under the effect of Ready to Blast, which is gained from Burst Strike. Double Down is your level 90 capstone ability on a 60-second cooldown that costs 2 cartridges. It deals a 1200 potency attack to the first target and 20% less to remaining enemies. For enhancements, Aurora becomes a charged ability with 2 stacks at level 84, and you gain a 3rd cartridge at level 88, which also makes it so that Bloodfest will fill all 3 when executed. When looking over the traits and abilities, it seemed like this part would be longer, but that's about all the important stuff Drak was able to pick up on while playing with it. Still, if you enjoyed Gunbreaker for being busy before, it's probably still going to be right up your alley. And that does it for Drak's Endwalker Media Tour coverage of the tank jobs. Thank you all for watching. If you're interested in the rest of Drak's Media Tour coverage, be sure to check out the other videos he's done on them. There should be a playlist up so you can have everything in one place. Thanks for watching, God bless you all, and we'll see you in the next one.